What's going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Idle Heroes. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out with me today. If you liked the video, don't forget, smash that thumbs up button to show your support. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright guys, we're here today on the official server because we have new events, and also because at the time I'm recording this, the private server is still down. I tell you what, when the private server goes down, I know it before I even check on it because I get like a trillion comments like, Wrath, what's wrong with the private server? And then I can immediately know that there's something wrong with it. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. We've got new events today, peeps. New events to talk about. And a new hero, which we'll get into in a second, but that's kind of a crap storm. Yes, Benny Hoodles. Let's check things out. Value packages first, because why not? They're here. As you can tell from the value packages, we've got heroic summons going on, because that's why those pop up. So, whatever's, if you're into that, there's your stuff. There's your stuff and things. Summon packaging. Okay, so there's two heroes that if you get them out of the event, like when you're summoning or whatnot, if you have them in your bag, I believe, and if you summon them out, you get a set of gear. So Molasses is one of them. Molasses is an odd duck. Let me check that out, actually. I don't... Does it say where it has to come from? Or do you just have to get one? Because I'm pretty sure if you... where am I at here? During the event, a higher chance of getting the hero if the heroes replace profit. Okay, so you don't get it if you replace it in the profit tree, but if you pull it out of your out of your bag, I do believe you still get rewards. We can check that out, probably. Summon that out right there. Do I get this? I do. So just pulling one out of your bag, even if you didn't summon it, you still get them. And I think, I'm like 62% sure that... Come on. That she is a drop in here as well. We'll refresh a couple of times. I don't know how many times you can refresh before it stops doing heroes, but I think there's a limit. Anyways, I do believe she does come up in the casino shop, so it could be a way for a newer player, if you've got some casino points, like these lucky coin save back, to snag her out and get some orange gear on the side. Just a little heads up there. But obviously, getting either of those two units, you get 2-star gear. You can claim that reward multiple times, so as many molasses as you pull out is as many times you'll get that gear. Hot. Hot and good news. So, obviously... Heroic Summon event. Woo! Alright, as usual, it's a $5.50. This is the normal cost for a Heroic Summon. The previous one was during a super event, I guess you would call it, the anniversary event. So it was like was it 700? I think it was 700. It was crazy high in either way. Alright? But to complete these events, you only need, I believe, 520 summons, because you do usually get 30 for free. 10, 20, 30. Yep, you get 30 for free for getting the first 200 points. So you only need 520 scrolls to complete the whole event. You're also going to get some nice hot and schmexy profit orbs, which are fantastic and everybody loves. How many do you actually end up getting? That's 19, 22, 24, 25. 25. Not bad. But you also get the 5-star gear, which is fantastic, especially if it's like the first one you actually get, like your first 5-star set. It's amazing. So much better than the 4-star stuff, so it's definitely good to go for. And obviously, the new hero is the prize at the end. We'll get into her in a moment. Not right now, because it's, like I said, guys, it's kind of a cluster bomb when you try to read that description. Oh my gosh, we'll get there. We'll get there. Alright, Heroic Miracle come back around. I feel like we just had one of these. Like, really, I feel like it was, like, just had one. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, mixing seasonal up. But, Cruce is your reward. Fantastic hero. I would recommend that everybody get a Cruce. I don't care if you're PvP or PvE. He's good in both. Definitely pick this dude up. He's fantastic. I guess we can just talk about him because he's one of the prizes. You know, we'll talk about all the heroes that are prizes. But first, let's go through all the prizes. All right, let's do that first. So as usual, the normal stuff and things. Getting your units are going to get you the gear and some scrolls. If it's 24 heroic scrolls sitting here, not bad. And 10 more profit orbs, plus 3-star orange gear for the light and the darks. Arguably the hardest ones to get, light and dark. That's why you generally save those in your bag if you ever get them. Or you save up the 4-star units and never fuse them until these come around, just so you can get that light and dark finished and grab your hot Cruce reward. Alright, so bam, that's a thing. The hero exchange. In the altar, there are 2 heroes you can buy with stuff. There's a Hart Watcher, who is amazing. There's a Mim, who is amazing. So, yes, that is the thing. Let's go and check these things out. I guess we can start, we'll do the new hero last, probably. Now, let's just start here in the altar and check out these dudes. So, Hart Watcher's 5,000, which actually isn't a bad cost. I'm definitely okay with that. Hart Watcher's one of the best units in the game for boosting your PvE damage. She is fantastic at it. It's ridiculous how good she does. And Mim is very expensive at 7,500. So, really expensive Mim copy, but he is a pretty solid unit. But I wouldn't say he's that much better than Hart Watcher. Like, I don't know if I would put that kind of a price differential between the two. We'll go check those out at 10 star because I feel like it's best to look at stuff when they're 10 starred because that's kind of the, that's where you're taking them if you're going to build them right. And then we've got the Cruce and the Molassa and all that junk. So let's start out here, I guess, with Eeny, Meeny, Miny. Nothing in the light, the dark. I guess we can start with Mim. Mim, one of the few units I have not built. There's not a lot out there that I haven't actually used even a little bit. Mim is one of those units. Haven't used much of him, but what I hear is all good news. No one says Mim is trash because it would be a lie, and you would be a liar, and that's not good for you. But he's kind of a freak. On the official servers, I wouldn't worry too much about Mim. He's very, very expensive to build. It's going to be incredibly hard for you without spending mucho monies. So maybe I would save his copies if you get them, of course, but I wouldn't really invest in trying to build one too early on because it probably ain't going to happen for you for a while. Anyways, his active skill is really powerful. 400% of his attack is damage. It's kind of stupid. It's a lot. If the target's in the front line, it reduces their armor by 75%. I do believe that anytime you fight a Marauder boss, it's always going to be a frontline position. I'm 65% sure that's how it works. Same way with the Aspen dungeon, I believe. If you use a hero like Edget's positional, he's always in the front line. I believe that's how it's set up. So, I've heard because of that, when he fights Marauders, he does a pretty good job because he knocks out 75% of their armor with his active skill. That means your whole team does more damage. Not bad. Also, if they're in the back line or whatnot, wait a minute. If they're in the front line, reduces their armor, and petrifies target for 2 rounds. Not bad. Not bad. If they're in backline, he reduces their attack by 30% and speed by 80 for 3 rounds. So, kind of no matter where he hits, he's going to screw somebody's day up. But in a PvE situation, generally speaking, I believe it's all front line, so he's going to be reducing armor, which is actually good for PvE situations. So definitely a solid dude. You see a lot of them in PvP because we'll get to that. But also, I guess that speed debuff is really handy in PvP as well. Not to mention, 400% of your attack as damage is a lot of damage. That's like nuke level damage. It's kind of retarded. Anyways, the first passive here increases HP, reduced damage, speed, and control immunity. Control immunity is the big seller for PvP. If you can't stun, freeze, or petrify somebody, they're automatically valuable, especially someone that does have crowd control and massive damage like Mim. He's a thing. Absolutely a thing. Reduced damage is fantastic as well. Helps him stay alive. Really solid there. His basic attack targets even to lowest health. I'm really talking fast, I can tell. I'm talking quick. But also it reduces their energy by 60. That's nice. If you can take a skill away from an enemy, that's going to save your team potential crowd control effects or just lots of damage. So that's never a bad thing. Again, making him really good choice in PvP, but this also carries into PvE as well, stopping a unit from doing their active skill like a Kamath Marauder or whatnot. Not bad. Not going to be bad for you. Last passive here, whenever any hero dies, he deals 200% of his attack as damage to all enemies for 2 rounds. That's generally where the cheese comes in. You start seeing the cheesy Mims. That's why you see that. It's a big amount of damage. 200% of your attack as damage over time for 2 turns is a lot. Especially if you have a bunch of like Sleepless or something in your lineup that die repeatedly. Like they die once, they get back up and they die again. You're going to stack a really heavy damage over time effect on somebody, so the Mim cheese is definitely alive and well for PvP. This doesn't really do anything for you in the PvE side of things, but I would say arguably the only real great reason to use this guy in PvE is going to be the stealing of the energy and also that big armor reduction from his active skill. Plus the active skill does a decent amount of damage. Alright, so Mim's a really good unit. There's nothing wrong with him. I usually do these, like, if you guys wondering, like, why am I talking about this? Usually for the newer players, I talk about the units because they might not know anything about them. If you've been playing for a long time, you can probably just fast forward until the Valkyrie stuff, and that's going to be fun. Oh, God, that's going to be fun. But anyways, this is why I talk about stuff like this. So, Mim can work in either PvE or PvP. You see him mostly in PvP because of the massive amount of cheese level with this last passive here. It's really handy. But anyways, that's Mim. We'll jump over and talk about Hart Watcher next because obviously she's in the Alter Exchange event. Hart Watcher. She's Beautimus, one of my favorite heroes in the game because she is fantastic for boosting your damage. Her active skill is going to do a decent amount of damage by itself, 255% of your attack as damage, but it's also going to reduce the enemy's attack, which is nice, saves you a little bit of damage as well. It's going to plant them a Watcher mark on them. Watcher marks increase the target's damage taken, at least on the active skill here, by 45%, but it stacks up to 300%. What that means is, generally speaking, by the time she does a few rounds of attacking, she's going to boost your team's damage to the person hit by 300%, which means 4 times normal damage. That's big. That's a lot of damage, and that's why she's pretty much in every single PvE team in the game, because she boosts your damage so much. You gotta have a Hart Watcher. She's just, she's so good. She's so good, and she also has some serious aspen viability too, so not a bad unit at all. This is just her normal basic passives or whatnot. Increase attack, crit by 30%, HP by 20%. The big takeaway there is the crit by 30%. Anytime a hero has a 30% natural crit, you can almost always guarantee you can build them in a crit-based build, because you're going to crit pretty much every turn, which is fantastic. And also, her critical strikes heal her by 280% of her attack as HP. So, that just kind of goes in with being a crit build. She's going to heal when she crits. That's what makes her really good in the Aspen dungeon. You can easily get to Nightmare with a 10-star Hart Watcher. I haven't 13-starred any of them yet, so I don't know how far they can go, but 10-star can take you to Nightmare. No problems. Last thing here is going to give a Watcher mark to the basic attack. Is pretty much summing that up. It's not as powerful, obviously, as the active skill. It still hits 2 enemies. But, again, the overlay cap is 300%. So, quadruple damage to enemies. Pretty fantastic unit. I would recommend that everybody build a Hart Watcher. She doesn't have a lot of use in PvP because she doesn't have a lot of time to stack that damage. But it's kind of arguable. I mean, even if you just get a basic attack off with her hitting 2 people, those 2 people are taking 35% increased damage now from all sources. So it's still not terrible, but you just don't see a lot of them in PvP. You do see a lot in like seasonal PvP right now because of the HP link, but overall you don't. She's mainly a PvE hero, and she's very good at it. So that's Hart Watcher down the drain. Let's move over and talk about Cruz real fast. Cruz is one of the most widely used units in the game, I think, and there's a couple reasons. Firstly, his active skill weakens enemies. It doesn't tell you what weakens means, but when he launched it did. It means they take 50% increased damage from all sources. So that's not bad. That means anything he hits, your entire team is going to hit 50% harder now. Not bad. It's a good damage boost for your team. He also gives somebody 100 of their energy back. So a full energy bar refill when he casts his active skill. Again, that's not bad. The more active skills you drop, generally the more damage you do. So, very solid there. Also works in PvP. It does hit 4 units, so in PvP you can weaken a good chunk of people and do a good chunk of damage. The passives are pretty decent. The first one here, his basic attack hits backline enemies, and it also reduces their armor. Not a huge deal in PvP. The armor reduction is not enough to really account for much, but he does heal 2 random allies for 20% of their maximum HP. That's fantastic. Anytime your heal is based in HP and not on your own attack, it's really great when it hits like a warrior or something, because they have a huge amount of health. You can heal like 400,000 health in a single attack. It's kind of nice. So really solid there. I do like that passive for a little bit like secondary healing in your team. Not really a primary healer, of course, but not bad for secondary. The armor reduction's not terrible, I guess, for Marauders and stuff like that. It's not a huge amount of armor reduction, but any armor reduction is better than no armor reduction. The second passive here is just kind of his normal, the HP junk and stuff and things. Decent amount of speed for a priest, but the reduced damage is definitely nice. Keeps him taking tons of damage, helps him stay alive. Not bad. The last passive is why you see him mainly in PvP. When he falls below half health, he has a 75% chance to stun all enemies for 2 rounds. That is humongous. Okay, it does nothing in PvE. When you're fighting like bosses, that doesn't mean anything. They don't get stunned. They have huge amounts of control immunity. It's retarded. But in PvP, this right here can turn the tide of a battle from you losing to you winning immediately. Because you might very well stun all 6 enemies. Okay, I've seen it happen, and it's like, oh my god, I'm screwed. And you are. When that happens to you, you're pretty much dead. That's why you see tons of Cruz in PvP, but also, like I said, with that weaken ability, the nice little heal and armor stripping, you do see him a ton in PvE as well. Very, very well-rounded unit, and one I think everybody should definitely build if you can. Cruz is fantastic. Alright, so that's done with Cruz. Who else do we got? I guess we can go for Melassa before we go to Valkyrie, right? That's the last 2. Melassa. The underappreciated Melassa. people don't really talk much about her. You don't see a lot of builds centered around her. And maybe it's because she's a ranger. You don't usually use a lot of rangers in PvE, so she generally gets dumped even for that reason, because you're better off taking like assassin tech and boosting many more heroes and just taking ranger strictly for her. But anyways, it's thing. First up, she's going to do a poison dot on the enemies. Now, any unit that has like a damage over time is generally pretty decent at boss damage. It's not a huge poison dot, but it is a little bit. Okay, it's not a heavy damage either. 125% of attack isn't really heavy hitting, but I don't know. It works. She does a decent amount of boss damage. Okay, she's not like terrible bad. She's not quite like on Walter status, but she's okay. She's all right. She has quite a bit of crit and attack chance. When she does have a... that's actually over here, it is. Each crit poisons the enemy, so when she crits somebody, they get poisoned as well. Not just on her basic attack, which does make her a little less viable, because Walter like poisons with basic attacks. She has to crit to poison somebody. And the last one, she does extra damage to poisoned enemies. So she does boost her own damage in a way, because she poisons people, does extra damage to poisoned units. But I would say of all the boss damaging units, Molasses is probably the one you see the least. And she's the only hero, I would say, of the ones we've talked about today that's quite forgettable. That you could actually not worry about ever keeping her copies, and you'd probably be okay with it. It wouldn't really bother you at all. But she's there. She's not terrible. And for a ranger, like I said, she's one of the few rangers that actually have a viability in PvE. Most all your rangers are PvP focused. I guess Queen isn't, new Valkyrie's not either, so we'll check that out after we check out some patch notes. I totally forgot about patch notes. That's my bad. Brain is not good. Notice. We're actually getting merged. BT dubs. My official server is now in the merging process. Actually, it will be in a couple of days, but we're going to be put into a giant conglomeration of servers, and it's going to be fantastic. Hopefully, maybe, perhaps. We'll see. But couple of things were changed. Gurki's 10-star active skill got adjusted, and his 7-star passive got adjusted. Michelle's 10-star active skill got adjusted, and Mirage's basic HP got adjusted. And also, after you smash, you can check damage and point statistics. I haven't even used that yet, can I? We've only got 2 points of smash. Let's do 2 points of smash. 2 points of smash. Oh, would you look at that? You can. Well, that's not bad. I'll take it. That's kind of cool. But anyways, let's look at these heroes real quick, because they did get quite the change. We'll start out with Gurki. Gurk. The Gurkness. His active skills damage got bumped. I believe it was 158 before. I could be wrong. So we got a decent buff in damage from his active skill, but the heal got a huge buff. I believe it was like 150 or 170, and it's up 265% of his attack is healing. So we got quite the substantial healing boost and a decent damage boost as well in his active skill, which is good because Gurki was probably one of the least used light heroes. So maybe I'll get him back in the rotation. We'll see. The 7-star passive here actually changed quite a bit as well, and not by quite a bit, I mean one thing changed. It boosted his attack, healing himself, I think it was 115 before. Not a lot of healing, up to 195. So that's a lot of healing coming now. Quite a bit of a jump there for his heal on his basic attack. Not bad. Nothing else got changed on him. It was just those two things. But they were both solid buffs, and I would say definitely warranted. He needed a buff. Michelle got a freakish buff. Alright, it's kind of stupid. Alright, it's kind of dumb. Anyways, her attack got buffed. I believe it was 148 before. It might have been 150 something. But it's up to 198% of her attack is damage now. But the big thing is, you might notice this gigantic number down here. Heal the ally with the lowest HP for 1,000% of attack is HP. That is a lot. That's a lot. Even if she only has 20,000 attack, 1,000% of your attack is HP. It's a lot. It is a lot. There's words to that. So I don't know how that's going to affect her. It might make her a freaking god in the Aspen dungeon again, because nothing will be able to kill her likely. I mean, she's going to be stunning people. Her damage got buffed up a little bit. Her attack is still very low. But that heal, that's going to be a very big heal. A very big heal. So that's, I think it was 400% before. So it was more than double what it used to be. It was crazy high heal now, so that's definitely something to keep your eye on. Again, it's a light hero, so official, hard to build, but everywhere else, kind of a thing. And I guess we can look at Mirage, even though it wasn't a huge change. I think she got a little bit of an HP buff. It wasn't much. I can't remember what it was before. I never really built Mirage, so I'm not super familiar with the Mirage. But with that done, it's time to talk about the lady of the evening, the Valkyrie. Now, you might wonder why I was talking about how horrible this Valkyrie thingy was. I'm going to tell you why. All right? It's because of English. All right? English. This skill section here is the worst written skill section I've ever seen in my life. All right? I don't know who translates over at DH Games, but they need to fire that person immediately and hire someone who actually speaks the English language to help translate their skills and stuff so that we can read them. It's horrible. All right, but I'm going to try to butcher my way through reading them, and we'll talk a little bit about it, what I've learned from the Discord, etc. instead. So, Valkyrie, a forest ranger, so that's all right, but she's kind of an interesting ranger, if what I've heard holds true. All right, so first up, her active skill, there's no little colon even there, they didn't even put that in there. They were obviously in a very big rush, okay? Deals 162% of her attack as damage against 3 random enemies, steals 12% of their attack for 3 rounds, and this is where things get weird. Dealing Valkyrie health limitation, 20% of attack, burning damage. Everyone's probably sitting there thinking, what in the balls is Valkyrie health limitation? I have no idea what that even is. No one really does unless you have her. From what I've heard, what that translates to is that she deals extra damage. That 20% isn't her own attack. It's based on the enemy's max health or their current max health. I don't know which one it is. I don't have her yet. If this was on private server, I could have probably summoned enough to get her out and test it a little bit, which I will do. But that's what I'm hearing, that it's actually based on enemies' high health and not on her own attack. Because if you think about it, a 20% of your attack burning damage is weak as balls. That would be worthless. There would be no reason to have that on your skill. It makes far more sense that this is based on your enemy's health than it is on her attack, because that wouldn't be a big enough dot for an active skill, especially an active skill that has such a low initial burst damage of 162%. That's not a very high damage skill. And it goes to the strongest enemy. All right, so it's going to do that weird Valkyrie health limitation crap to the strongest enemy, which in my opinion would be the person with the highest health that it hits. It's going to do that effect to, which makes me think she'll be very good in PvE against hitting marauders, guild bosses, etc. Now, again, take all of this with a grain of salt, because this is the worst worded skill I've ever read in my life, and I don't understand. Okay, if it wasn't for people on the Discord who already had one at 5-star and was kind of doing a little bit of testing, I would have no idea what this meant at all. But that's what they're saying, is she does increase damage based on enemies' health. That's why she hits harder against warriors, because they have a higher natural HP pool. So, there we go. Let's move on over. Passive skill, increase health by 35%, attack by 25%, crit by nothing. He didn't even finish typing it. There's like, we're done, I give up, crit by nothing. Luckily, you can hit the info button, and you can see her crit is actually 30%. So, I don't know what happened over at DH Games. They were launching this event, but they need to get the crap together, because that's inexcusable. They left out a whole percentage, all right? And there's not a single space, like this, like no space between skill and increase. It's skill increase. I don't know what they were doing. There was some heavy drug usage going on. I'm feeling like after party, Monday morning feelings. We'll see. But anyways, next passive here. Her basic attack has changed to deal 95% of her attack as damage against 3 random targets. This is kind of weird. Reduces 9% of attack. I don't know what it's reducing. That's what I'm saying. I don't really know what the reducing of 9% of attack is. Does it reduce their attack by 9%? Does it reduce their total attack by 9% of their total attack? I don't know. No one knows. Is it 9% of her attack? It's such a, that's like I said. The wording is so bad here. It is sad. I'm crying inside. Every English person is crying a little bit inside. Even some Chinese people, I guarantee it, are crying right now. But it also comes back to that weird thing, dealing Valkyrie health limitation 6% of attack burning damage for 3 rounds. Now, you would say, this is why I don't think it's at all based on her attack. It doesn't make sense to be. A 6% of attack burning damage is so low that unless she had like 10 million attack, it wouldn't be worth having. So it's got to be based on enemy health. It just makes sense to be based on enemy health, and what I've heard from everybody says it's based on enemy health. That would make sense, because that would make that damage over time much better than 6% of her attack. It'd actually be worth using. Again, I feel like this is going to work really well in PvE against people with really high health. Marauders, guild bosses, but I don't know if it has a cap to it. Kind of like Amuvor, he has that, what is it? I can't remember what Amu's was, but it's percentage on their max health. I don't remember what the cap is, like 10 times his attack or something, I can't remember. But it was capped off because if he hit a Marauder with like 400 million health and he did 10% damage, that's going to be a very big damage drop, stuff like that. So it's like, I don't think that's fair, so they have to nerf it down. I don't know if this will be the same way and it'll be nerfed a little bit for fighting bosses. If it's not, she's going to do stupid damage. But anyways, last passive here, Flame Enchantment. When she's controlled, so stunned, petrified, etc., she's going to heal for 200% of her attack continuously for 3 rounds. That's actually really strong and makes me wonder about PvP a little bit, because the big meta right now is being controlled. You freeze them, you stun them and stuff. If she gets healed while she's controlled, it will help her survive through that control effect. Not bad. But it's also going to deal Valkyrie's health limitation weird thing, 3% of attack burning damage against 3 random enemies for 3 rounds. So if she gets controlled, she not only heals, but she's going to place a damage over time effect on the enemy. I don't know how that's going to work. It's going to be weird, but like I said, it's not terrible for PvP, I don't think, because crowd control is very popular. If she does get stunned, etc., she'll be dropping a burning damage on them. So, like I said, because of how badly it's worded, I can't be 100% straight up and say she's going to be good in this and bad in this, and where do I think she's going to be good? From what I've heard, because this is the worst written skill section of the world, I would assume she'd be very popular in PvE. It seems like with any kind of skill damage based on max health, she's going to do very well in that area, but with some of these passives, I don't know if she won't be a terrible use in PvP. I don't know how solid she would be. She has no crowd control built in, but with 30% crit, you might be able to build her to be quite the critting nuke. I don't know, but I feel like her main role is going to be a PvE hero from what I've heard around. Again, I can't be 100% sure on that, and I don't think anybody in the world is actually 100% sure unless they're using her right now. So I apologize on behalf of DH Games for this terrible, horrible, awful skill description that I had to stumble through today, but it's Thing. So that's Valkyrie. You probably know literally nothing more than you knew before you watched this video about her, but it's Thing. It's Thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. But like I said, I feel like PvE, she'll be solid. What is that? Okay, so her other sword just vanishes and she just does an uppercut. That's fantastic. Where does that even go? Is she throwing it at them? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But anyway, she does look pretty cool. I'm okay with the design. I think she looks alright. But that's pretty much all the weirdness we can stumble through on her skills. I don't know much about her. I won't know until the private server actually goes back up and probably is up for a solid day before I trust it enough to actually do my heroic summons. But I'll have one there. I will test her out and I'll have some clarifications either in the description of this video or I'll make a new video on it. I don't know. But there we go. That is this new event section with the new hero, even though almost no one actually knows what the new hero does, even after it dropped, which is probably the only hero in the game that we can say that about. You know, when every other hero dropped, you can read it and say, okay, I can kind of see. On this one, you're like, I don't even know what these words mean. Why are these words in the same sentence? But whatever, they are. And we're going to deal with it. But that's everything. We've covered it all. Hart Watcher stuff and things, the Cruise, the summon prizes, it is all there for your viewing knowledge. And that's me up for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please make sure, smash that thumbs up button and show your support if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe as well, and tell your friends about it, because that definitely helps me out a lot. And I will see you guys in the next one.